time for me to talk, and I wanted to let you know, I just wanted to let you know that sometimes we think, or I think, maybe some other people do as well, church is funny. And I know it may sound strange coming from a minister on Sunday morning, but except for those who are dragged in and browbeaten, which of course wouldn't apply to anybody here, most of us who come to church are spiritual people. I would say all of us who come to church are spiritual people. We're seekers of the truth that we know is already in our hearts. Then there's this minister telling these spiritual people something about spirituality, something they probably already know. What's that about? I believe it has to do with all of us needing to be reminded of all the things we already know. Yes, some ministers have a way of saying things, and when we listen to them, we hear things differently. We may already know the topic and the subject of what they're talking about, but we haven't heard it this way before. How am I doing, Virginia? Can you hear me okay? Okay.
Pretty good. Thank you.
Understanding comes and seeps into the cracks of our confused or missing bits. And like layers of an onion or an archaeological dig, we discover more. Our souls remember more. That's when I attend church or listen to an inspirational speaker, I do so with an open mind and an open heart. Even one thing, or even if it's an oldie but goodie, said in a different way, it's gold. I may know about the topic, but whoever knows everything about a subject? Not me, maybe you do. Even one enlightening turn of phrase or allegory that hits me right between the eyes or zings me in the heart is one I haven't heard before, and I'm not as liable to hear it if I'm not open to learning something new, to hearing something new, or trying something new. Being open and curious is not about following blindly. We use our innate discernment, which I like to consider as a combination, a blend of intuition, healthy judgment, and wisdom. In this time of data overload, we have to be discerning of how we spend our time, what we give our attention to what and who we want to be open. Still, we must balance openness with discernment so that imbalance doesn't occur, creating an overinflated skepticism to crowd out our natural abilities of openness and curiosity. Whether we're reading an article, watching a documentary, or sitting in church. And healthy boundaries are okay. We want lines in the road so those other people will know what line we're to be, their car and what have you. We want our homes to have strong frames and walls, but not checkpoints and guards to get to. We don't want to pass through barricades to get out and go and get to the grocery store or to the church. We value our personal space. We don't want someone to come up and pick us up like we're little toddlers and bounce us up in the air. Healthy boundaries are okay. But we balance this. Like Walt Whitman says, be curious, not judgmental. So we're balancing our openness, our curiosity, our discernment. Some of us pride ourselves on guarded skepticism. And to live a life of openness and curiosity, we must learn that balance. I say deeply ingrained skepticism is like a constant series of barricades that are constantly throwing up these series of like, I can't, no, I can't, into our paths. They hamper us, they close us off. Instead, we balance discernment with being open to life, to living and learning. Some of you who weren't here last week know I just love quotes. And I'm going to give you one of my favorite, I call him a thought leader, definitely a change agent. That's Brendan Burchard. He says, "You are a child of God." How are we doing, Virginia? Can you hear me okay? And that alone may, let me start that over. You are a child of God. Yeah. Brendan Burchard, you are a child of God, and that alone makes you worthy of care and love. If your guard is up, let it down. If you've constructed a defensive wall to protect yourself and keep all the bad guys out, don't forget who the wall is preventing from getting in. The good guys. Openness and curiosity may require an ample portion of humility. I've been a minister since 1986, and in 1987, after I completed my one-year probationary period, my life took new paths. I moved on. I moved from Tucson to the East Coast, and I knew that as I did that, I was starting a new path. I knew it. And I said to myself, I need to be open, I need to be curious, I need to enter this without preconceived notions, so I'll learn. I am a student of the path. I knew I would learn more, hear others, and receive less preconception. Like, for example, Unity, Course in Miracles, Science of Mind, Roswell, New Mexico. Gotcha. Along the way, I found that others may mistake an attitude of openness and childlike wonder with a lack of worldly experience and understanding. I say, let that slide right off our Teflon capes. These are our minds, our hearts, and our souls we feed. Many of you may recognize Herbert Spencer. This quote by Herbert Spencer. There is a principle, which is a bar to all information, which is proof against all arguments, and which cannot fail to keep a man in everlasting ignorance. That principle is contempt prior to investigation. Last week, I asked about a change. I talked about change and moving through denial into acceptance and gratitude. Today, we're adding to what I like to call our spiritual toolbox with this topic. You may have already guessed it. It's being open and curious. Like this fellow, an explorer of many frontiers, Albert Einstein. He said, the mind that opens to a new idea never returns to its original size. The important thing, he also said this, the important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. We want to be open to change, open and curious, to new things, ideas, wonders of art, people, earth, universe, God. Has anyone here heard of Stephen Pressfield? Oh, very good. You may recognize his book, The War of Art. And at the beginning of Stephen's book, he introduces what he calls the Resistance's greatest hits. Resistance is the topic of his entire book. And he says it in very many ways. If you can't get it by the time you've read the book, read it again and again and again. He says this list is in no particular order, and I'm only giving you 6 of the 11, so you'll have to check it out. You can actually get it free online in a PDF. The pursuit of any calling in writing, painting, music, film, dance, or any creative art, however marginal or conventional. That's the first one that our resistance comes up for. The launching of any entrepreneurial venture or enterprise, for profit or otherwise. Any diet or health regimen. Any program of spiritual advancement. Any activity whose aim is tighter abdominals. Any course or program designed to overcome an unwholesome habit or addiction. Again, those are just 6 of the 11, and then he goes into the book. He's a very entertaining and person. He goes from excruciating humor to very serious, get you right in the gut stuff. You might enjoy the book. Let's take a closer look at the continuum of open and curious, and closed and indifferent. When we're closed and indifferent, we're contracting, we're curling up, and sometimes we're turning away. When we're open and curious, we're expanding. Let's say it a different way. When we're not open and curious, we can be like a stagnant creek, dammed up, mud-filled, algae-ridden, and backed up. Not someplace we'd like to wade into. When we're open and curious, we're like a flowing creek. Energetic, clear water, happy, bubbling, sounds, fertile space for life, and now we're talking. In times of change, we may throw our hands up in resistance. This is when we take a breath, reach in and grab for our openness, our discernment, and our curiosity, that balance. Guess who are open and curious, generally trusting, and faith-filled? Children. Let us reinvigorate, can I say that word? Reinvigorate our childlike wonder. It's not just for Christmas. Remember the Bible verse in Matthew 18, chapter 18, verse 3, about being childlike, becoming like the little children. Now last week, I referenced pulling my finger out of the dike and letting go of my chokehold on fear. What was I afraid of? Losing my privacy? Losing my time? Losing myself? Oh yeah. Let's see a show of hands of anyone who's heard of Mike Dooley. Okay. Mike Dooley, he's a speaker and a writer, a Hay House author. He sends out these beautiful notes. They're like personal notes from God. He calls them notes from the universe. And this came the other day. Nothing is ever lost. Not time, for what seems to have passed lives on in the wisdom of future decisions. Not money, for what seems to have been spent has been invested. Not love, for what seems to have vanished has only moved so close you must look within your heart to find it. Once I became open and willing, and my energy released from its contracted state, so that I could better flow forward into my activities and my aspects of life. My long-time friend Sarah, she grew up in Oahu. She actually went to school with President Obama way back in the day before he was the prez. Sarah likes occasionally to send me these Hawaiian words of the day from HawaiianNewsNow.com. When she knows the words of the day, it's perfect for me. Did I say she's really a really good friend? Recently, it was the Hawaiian word for steadfast, onipa'a. It came in a quote, which fits right in with our mission to be open and curious, and comes from the Hawaiian revered king, Liliuokalani, who reigned until 1893. I'm not going to read the Hawaiian portion, but I will give you the English. Be steadfast, she says, in the seeking of knowledge. If I hadn't been open that day in Virginia many years ago, I would never have sought Sarah out, wouldn't have introduced myself, and wouldn't know the love that we've shared all these years. Our friendship has been onipa'a. The spiritual path, the spiral path of spirituality. I like to describe the spiritual path as a spiral. It feels like it's an upward, sometimes it feels like it's moving upward, sometimes it feels like it's moving inward. For a moment, let's just think of the spiral path as a mountain. We're moving up the mountain. In the beginning, it seems like we're going round and round in really wide circles. But very soon we start to look out over the valley, and we notice the same sights with every round that we make. Whether we take breaks or not, we sit down or question our decision to take this path. We might start asking ourselves, why did I take this path? But we keep going. We'll begin to see the same old sights in a different way, from a different perspective, and possibly a deeper understanding with every pass we make, because we're getting a different perspective. We see the river's path isn't straight at all. We see the hill by our house isn't as high as we thought it was. We see our town converges in densely formed areas in certain places. We see the problems we left at a few hundred feet in elevation ago. They're not as important, as big, or as full of angst and confusion. We see the spiritual plateau that we trudged isn't nearly as wide as we thought it was. We see because we are open and curious. We're also spiritual spelunkers. We go within to listen to that still, quiet voice. And just like the folks who spelunk in caves and take their gear with them, we carry our spiritual toolbox with us. Most of us have had a time in our lives where we went through something that Carl Jung called the dark night of the soul. It could have been a bump in the road or a speed bump, or it could have been something that really took us. At this time, let me move this up a little bit. At this time, we were in the darkness, and we were filled with emotion. Pick one, pick some. Perhaps we've shut down and closed up, and we want back in the light. We want it out. We want out of that. We want back in the light. Where is that flashlight when we need it? Are we going to get down on our knees, and if we aren't already, and are we going to be searching the floor of the cave for that flashlight, stumbling around? Well, no, we're not, because we have our spiritual toolbox. We take it everywhere we go. It's the light within us. We never leave home without it. Approaching life with an attitude of open, even curious expectation enables us to receive all things in this world has to offer. One of my favorite New Thought teachers is Louise Hay, the late Louise Hay. And I have to share this quote from her. You may have heard it before if you're a follower of Louise Hay or have read her books. I love the visualization of standing at the sea, looking out over the vast ocean, and knowing that the ocean is the abundance that is available to me. Look down at your hands and see what sort of container you are holding. Is it a teaspoon, a thimble with a hole in it, a paper cup, a glass, a tumbler, a pitcher, a bucket, a bathtub? Or perhaps you have a pipeline connected to this ocean of abundance. Let's hope we all have and work toward having our own pipeline connected directly to that abundance, because we do have, we just need to acknowledge it. How open are we to the flow of life? How open are we to receive as we are to share? Relax, release, and receive, and share. Then repeat. There's a light inside of us, God's light. You might like to think of it as a spark of energy, electricity, or a vibration. Some may think of it as the flame of the Kundalini, our rising energy or consciousness. Like a fire we tend, stoke, and care for, It ebbs and flows, depending on how we're caring for it. Remember the reference to expanding or contracting? That's that energy, expanding or contracting, and it is connected to our openness, our willingness, and something that Charles Fillmore, our Unity founder, liked to call zeal and enthusiasm. And I'm going to read to you from a paragraph, a portion of a paragraph out of his book called The Revealing Word. Zeal is the mighty force that incites the winds, the tides, the storms. It urges the planet on its course and spurs the ant to great exertion. To be without zeal is to be without the zest of living. And he goes on to say this: the man without zeal is like an engine without steam, or an electric motor without a current. Zeal was possibly one of the favorite things that he liked to talk about. One must be open, and we must have zeal. When we're open, we actually fodder and stoke that zeal, don't we? This God energy literally shines upon our life's path. As we traverse that spiral path, whether it's upward or inward or multidimensional, we Unity members and Unity goers, or metaphysical students on the path, we're open to learning and growing, which are all invaluable aspects of positive, practical Christianity. Our openness and curiosity allow God's light to better shine inside of us and through us. And we keep that light flowing for the benefit of our world. I'm going to close with the quote from Brenda Richard. There's a picture of him. There you go. Now you can see what he looks like. Grant me the strength to focus this week, to be mindful and present, to serve with excellence, to be a force of love. From his book, Life's Golden Ticket, an inspirational novel. So it is. Amen. Thank you. Now we'll prepare for meditation. So just like last week, wiggle a little bit, get yourself in a comfortable space. Take a deep breath. Allow yourself to feel the healing, loving energy of Mother, Father, God surrounding us and infilling us. Every aspect of ourselves, every aspect of our lives. Feel this energy now as it moves around our feet, relaxing our feet, allowing ourselves to receive the healing energy, so the muscles and the tendons and the bones are all healing, relaxing and soothed. Feel this now as this energy and this love moves up our calves, our shins, into our knees, allowing the flexibility to manifest in our lives, moving forward with ease, up our thighs and into our hips. Again, moving forward in our day in joy. Feel this loving, healing energy now form a sphere around ball of energy, glowing and glowing, growing at the base of our spine. Feel it as it moves around into our lower abdomen, healing and soothing, reaching every cell happy to do its job, every organ, every tissue, happy to do its job, happy, healthy, and strong. Feel this energy now as it moves up our spine, into our upper abdomen, into our diaphragm, our lungs and into our heart. Feel it settle there. Growing again in our heart, growing with compassion, growing with healing and love for ourselves as well as others. Know as we relax and release those things that do not belong to us, that hold us back in any way, we let go of those things, and healing can take its place. All of that which we let go of now, healing energy and the light of God takes its place. We let this beautiful energy grow and move into our highest and best. Feel those muscles relax as they move up the shoulders and into the neck and into the throat. Know that we communicate the highest and best with our thoughts and our words. Now feel this loving, healing energy as it moves over our face, over our scalps, so that we are feeling this healing energy, a newfound freedom. The tingling of this energy from the tips of our toes to the top of our head. Let this loving, compassionate healing move from ourselves, from our centers, so that it moves across this room, touching the people next to us, filling this entire room, this entire sanctuary, this entire building. It's so strong and powerful, and we've opened ourselves as the channels of God's healing light. It fills this city and moves out over the border, over our state, our country, our continent, and around the globe, touching each need, each hurt, each healing call for help. This healing, loving energy of God, God's energy surrounding our earth. Feeling it pulse. You can see the pulsing of the energy. Allow it to build and grow so that it touches every place. Now slowly allow the energy to return to here, to our here and now, to us, knowing that as we go forward in our day, this healing energy is being channeled through our thoughts, words, and actions. And the healing that we released and relaxed to allow to exist within us and to take its place has done its work. Now feel that energy in your hands and in your feet. Become more familiar with their body sitting in its chair, that you're in this room, and when you're comfortable, open your eyes. Thank you, Unity. Thank you, God.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.